year 1922, when I was 15 years old, my friends began talking about going to a dance at the Institute in the High Street. Well, we used to dance at home. My brother and I would dance up and down the sitting room, and my brother was an expert at Charleston. But we knew the Velita, we knew the military two-step and the foxtrot, and you see, of course, when it was a waltz, we could waltz because we'd done it at home. I'd never been to a dance, so I went home and told my mother, and she said, "Yes, you can go, dear, but you'll need a dress, won't you, if you're going to a dance?" So she went into the city and she bought some pink sateen. It was only quite a fairly cheap material, really, but that was what people used to buy and make dresses in those days. And she brought the material home, and my sister had a pattern, and she said she would make it for me. So she made this dress. It was fairly plain, and it was down just below the knee, not far below the knee, but below the knee. And to make it more fancy, she put swans down round the neck and round the arms. And oh dear, I felt I was really something wonderful in this dress. Never had a dress anything like that before. On the evening, off we went to the dance. Oh, it was beautiful. The floor in the Institute was slippy, and all the boys stood in one corner of the dance hall, afraid really, I think, to ask a girl to a dance. But we had several friends there. My brother was there, and he came and danced with me and his friend. I remember my friend, she had a boyfriend. She liked him very much and used to meet him at Sunday school. But at the dance, this boy, he worked in the cake shop, in the baker's, and he was on tarts and things like that. And he said to my friend, "I'm bringing a friend from work with me." He said he'd like to come to the dance. So they arrived, and they were always dressed in nice lounge suits, quite tidy. He was standing with this boyfriend, you see, and the dance started. So he asked my friend Alice to dance with him. And while she was going down the floor, and every time I got close to her, dancing nearer to her, she would put her hands on her nose as if there was a terrible smell. And I laughed, and afterwards I said, what is it? And she said, "Oh, don't dance with him if you can possibly help it." And I said, "Why not? What's the matter?" And she said, "He reeks of fat." She said, "And he told me that at the bakehouse he cooks the doughnuts, and they're boiled in fat in a bucket." She said, "And he absolutely reeks of the fat that the doughnuts are boiled in." So, of course, I tried to avoid this boy as much, but anyway, eventually I had a dance with him, and it was true. It reeked of the fat that he boiled the doughnuts in. Now, I don't think today that you would get anything like that. It was marvellous, really. There was a band, you see, and the music was wonderful, and halfway through they had a lucky spot prize, and beforehand the organisers would arrange where the lucky spot was going to be, and it'd be under a special light or nearest to some door, something like that. And then the music would stop, and whoever was nearest to the lucky spot had a prize. I won one once, not in my early days. Later on, I remember winning a lucky spot once. then they would have dances like Excuse Me, and you'd be dancing with a young man, you see, and the men would be standing in the middle of the room, and girls in the middle of the room, you see, as well, together, and they would come towards you while you were dancing and say, excuse me, and they'd take a young man off you see, and go off. And if you saw any striking young men in the room that you thought, oh, I'd love to dance with him, this was your opportunity, you see. And, we used to have such fun. It was wonderful. Anyway, the dances were a real success and thoroughly enjoyed them. When there was a 21st birthday party, often it took the form of a dance. They'd hire a room, a school room from a chapel or somewhere, and they'd have a dance and somebody would play the piano, and we loved the dancing, and sometimes we'd do the Velita and the military two-step, and the people would play Sir Roger de Coverley, things like that, and you'd do all these old dances as well. Some of the dances we went to, the boys would wear white gloves, and they all dressed very nicely, in usually lounge suits, but they'd all have nice clean shirts and collars, often a stiff collar. At the church, every now and again we would have what we called a £half night, and everybody had to bring £half of something for eating. And the girls who worked at the chocolate works would bring a bag of chocolates, waste chocolates, or there'd be £half of biscuits, or apples, bananas, all kinds of things used to arrive on £half night. Everybody brought £half. Now the teachers from the Sunday school who ran this, they would do sandwiches and make the tea, and they were very kind old ladies. They were always trying to help the young people. And when we went for a £half night, we would play games, and then we would dance, you see, and every girl could take a boy with her. But they were happy times. That was like a social from the gymnastic club. But there was always dancing, and we always laughed and danced. And I can't remember any trouble whatever at any time. They all carried themselves very well, and they were all morally good as well. Dancing was everywhere all the time. I call them the dancing years because they were. Everybody was going to a dance, or they'd been to a dance, or they were looking forward to a dance. And we often used to go out into the country on our bicycles. Every village had its dance on Saturday nights. It was like as if it was something that everybody had got to do. You'd got to dance. But I think the war had ended, you see, and the soldiers had all come back from the war, and they'd got to have entertainment and enjoyment, and this was one of the ways that it started for them to enjoy themselves.